I will speak to you of a truth that few recognize and even fewer practice. Anger does not arrive suddenly. It is invited. It enters the mind long before the moment you believe provoked it. Most men wake already open, already exposed, already surrendered to the world before they have taken a single conscious breath. They allow the noise of others, the expectations of society, and the weight of yesterday to rush into their minds the instant they open their eyes. And when the mind begins the day in this state, anger is inevitable. It is not strength that fails them later, it is preparation that never existed. When I wake, I do not greet the world immediately. I do not allow voices, opinions, or disturbances to enter my mind before I have chosen my state. The first moments of the day belong to me alone. This is where control is established. This is where peace is fortified. If the mind is settled before the world speaks, then nothing the world says can disturb it. But if the mind is already restless, already seeking, already reacting, then even the smallest irritation will feel like an attack. Most people believe anger is caused by others. They say, he disrespected me, or she annoyed me, or they crossed a line. This is ignorance. No one can enter your inner world without permission. Anger is not something that is done to you, it is something that happens when you allow the outside to govern the inside. And that permission is almost always given in the earliest moments of the day, when the mind is still unguarded. When the day begins in haste, the mind becomes fragile. A fragile mind looks for offense everywhere. It hears insult where none was intended. It feels threatened by trivial words and insignificant actions. Such a mind is always defending itself, always reacting, always tense. This is why most people live in constant irritation. They do not realize they have been fighting since morning. I train myself to wake with nothing already inside me. No resentment, no expectation, no hunger for validation. I wake empty, and in that emptiness there is strength. When nothing is carried forward, nothing can be disturbed. When the cup is empty, nothing can spill. This is not accidental, it is practiced. It is deliberate. It is the result of guarding the mind before the world demands entry. The 1% understand this without being taught. They wake slowly, consciously, with awareness. They do not rush towards stimulation. They do not immediately submit to demands. They observe their breath, their body, their thoughts. They establish stillness first. From that stillness comes control. From control comes calm. And from calm comes a mind that cannot be provoked. Anger feeds on speed. It grows in rushed minds. It thrives where there is no pause. When you wake and immediately allow the world to dictate your rhythm, you give anger fertile ground. But when you slow the beginning of the day, when you move with intention instead of impulse, anger has no place to take root. It searches for something to grab and finds nothing. Many believe peace is something you find later after problems are solved or conflicts avoided. This is false. Peace is established before problems appear. It is created before conflict arrives. If you wait until you are challenged to seek calm, you have already lost. The mind must be fortified before it is tested. I do not wake thinking of who might oppose me, who might offend me, or who might stand in my way. That is the thinking of a defensive mind. I wake preparing my inner state, knowing that once it is set, nothing external will have the power to disrupt it. When the mind is settled early, insults pass like wind, disrespect dissolves before it forms, provocation finds no surface to land on. This is why I was never bothered by others, not because they were gentle and not because the world was kind. The world is rarely kind. People speak carelessly, they act selfishly, they test boundaries, but none of this matters when the mind has already chosen stillness. You cannot disturb a mind that has decided not to move. Most anger is simply delayed regret. It is the result of allowing small irritations to accumulate until the mind explodes. But a disciplined morning releases nothing into the mind that does not belong there. Each thought is observed, each feeling is acknowledged and released. Nothing is stored, nothing is carried, and so there is nothing to ignite later. Understand this clearly. The calm you wish to have in conflict is built in silence. The restraint you admire in others is practiced alone. The unbothered mind is not natural, it is trained, and its training begins before the day makes its first demand of you. When you wake already centered, already grounded, already detached, you move through the world untouched. People may speak, events may unfold, chaos may surround you, but none of it enters your core. You see clearly. You respond only when necessary. You conserve your energy for what truly matters. Anger is expensive. It drains strength. It clouds judgment. It hands power to those who do not deserve it. The 1% refuse this transaction. They do not pay attention to what is cheap and loud. They invest in what is quiet and enduring. So if you wish to never be angered, never be bothered, never be shaken, do not begin by controlling others. Begin by controlling the moment you wake. Guard it fiercely, shape it deliberately, because when the day starts under your command, the rest of it has no choice but to follow. And remember this one thing above all else. The mind that wakes in control cannot be conquered by anything that comes after. Many believe anger is strength. They raise their voices, harden their faces, and think this display makes them powerful. I have seen this countless times, and each time the truth is the same. Anger is not power, it is exposure. The moment a man becomes angry, he reveals his weakness. He shows exactly where he can be touched, exactly where control can be taken from him. To lose calm is to surrender command, and no warrior, no master of life can afford such loss. When a man grows angry, he believes he is asserting himself. In reality, he is reacting. His mind is no longer his own. It is pulled by words, gestures, opinions, or imagined disrespect. Someone else decides his state and he follows. How can this be strength? Strength is choosing when to act and when not to act. Strength is remaining unmoved while others attempt to shake you. The man who becomes angry has already been defeated, even if he appears loud or dominant. I learned early that anger clouds the mind. It narrows vision. It accelerates the body while slowing judgment. In anger, timing is lost, precision disappears. What remains is force without direction. Many mistakes are made in this state, and once made, they cannot be recalled. Words spoken in anger linger. Actions taken in anger leave scars, and afterward. When calm returns, regret follows closely behind. This is why anger is dangerous, not because it is intense, but because it is careless. Those who provoke others understand this well. They seek not to defeat you physically, but mentally. A single insult, a slight gesture, a dismissive look, these are bait. When you take it, you give them control. They have succeeded without effort. The one who never becomes angry cannot be controlled. No hook can catch him. No provocation can move him. He remains free while others exhaust themselves trying to disturb what cannot be disturbed. I do not say this to suggest that you should suppress emotion or pretend you feel nothing. Emotion will arise. It is natural. Anger will knock at the door of the mind. The difference lies in whether you open the door or let it pass. I observe anger the way one observes weather. I see it forming, I feel its presence, and I let it move on without action. The mind remains clear because it was never surrendered. Most people mistake restraint for weakness. They believe that silence means fear, that calm means submission. This is another illusion. True restraint requires more strength than uncontrolled reaction. Anyone can shout, anyone can strike, anyone can lash out when wounded. But to remain composed while insulted, to remain measured while challenged, to remain silent while misunderstood, this requires discipline and power. It is the strength of someone who does not need to prove himself. Anger is often born from ego, from the need to be right, from the need to be respected, from the need to be seen. When these needs dominate the mind, it becomes fragile. Every word feels like an attack, every disagreement feels like disrespect. But when the ego loosens its grip, anger loses its fuel. If you do not require validation, no one can insult you. If you do not seek approval, no one can withhold it from you. If your worth is not negotiated through others, their behavior becomes irrelevant. I chose long ago not to hand my inner peace to the behavior of others. People are unpredictable, their words are careless, their moods shift. If your calm depends on their conduct, you will never be at rest. Instead, I anchored my state within myself. From there, the world could do what it wished. I would observe, decide, and act only if action was necessary. This is not avoidance, this is control. Anger also wastes energy. The mind becomes heated, the body tightens, the breath shortens. All this strength is burned with no return. That energy could have been used to think clearly, to act precisely, to move forward. The one who remains calm conserves power. While others tire themselves with emotion, he advances quietly, efficiently, and decisively. I have watched men destroy opportunities because they could not control a moment of anger. A single reaction closed doors that years of effort had opened. I have also seen men rise simply because they remained composed when others expected them to break. Calm is disarming. It unsettles those who rely on chaos. It shifts the balance of power without a single word being spoken. When you understand that anger is a loss of control, you stop glorifying it. You no longer see it as passion or courage. You see it for what it is, the mind slipping from its own grasp. And once you see this clearly, you begin to value calm above all else. Not passive calm, but alert calm, a state where awareness is sharp and action is deliberate. This does not mean you allow injustice or weakness to prevail. It means you choose the right moment, the right method, and the right intensity. Action taken without anger is far more effective than action driven by it. When the mind is clear, every movement has purpose, every word has weight, every decision lands where it must. Train yourself then to pause when anger arises. Not to fight it, not to feed it, but to see it. Ask yourself who benefits if you react. The answer is rarely you. Most of the time, the one who remains calm walks away with dignity, clarity, and strength, while the one who explodes walks away lighter, drained, and exposed. Anger promises power but delivers weakness. Calm demands discipline but grants freedom. Choose wisely, because in every moment of irritation, your true strength is being tested. And remember this, the man who controls his anger controls the situation, the outcome, and himself. Detachment is often misunderstood. Many hear the word and imagine coldness, distance, or the absence of care. That is not what I speak of. Detachment is clarity. It is the ability to stand close to life without being pulled apart by it. It is to see clearly without clinging, to act decisively without emotional weight dragging the hand. When the mind is detached, it becomes invincible, not because nothing happens to it, but because nothing controls it. Most people suffer not because of what happens, but because of what they expect. They expect others to behave a certain way. They expect respect, gratitude, fairness, and understanding. When these expectations are not met, frustration arises. From frustration comes anger. From anger comes disturbance. The mind becomes restless, constantly negotiating with the world, constantly disappointed. This is a fragile way to live. A mind built on expectation can be shattered by a single careless word. I chose a different path. I learned to expect nothing from people, and in doing so, I took back my peace. When you expect nothing, you are never disappointed. When you demand nothing, nothing can be taken from you. This is not pessimism. This is freedom. You still observe, you still interact, you still act, but you are no longer emotionally invested in outcomes that are not under your control. Detachment allows the mind to remain light. A heavy mind reacts slowly and poorly. It hesitates, it overthinks, it misjudges. A light mind moves freely. It responds with precision, it adapts. When insult comes, it passes through without lodging itself inside. When praise comes, it is acknowledged without becoming an anchor. The detached mind neither resists nor clings, it remains centered. Many believe that caring deeply requires attachment. This is another illusion. Attachment does not deepen care, it distorts it. When you are attached, you fear loss. When you fear loss, you act out of anxiety rather than clarity. You compromise judgment to protect what you cling to. Detachment removes this fear. It allows you to care without fear, to act without desperation, to engage without losing yourself. I observe people closely. Those who are easily bothered are those who are deeply attached to their image, to their opinions, to how they are perceived. A single challenge to these attachments unsettles them. Their peace is conditional. It depends on constant reinforcement. But the detached mind is stable. It does not need agreement to remain calm. It does not need approval to stand firm. Detachment also sharpens perception. When emotion no longer clouds the mind, you see things as they are, not as you wish them to be. You notice patterns, you sense intention, you understand timing. Others may be lost in reaction, but you are watching. This is where true advantage lies, not in force, not in noise, but in awareness. To cultivate detachment, one must practice letting go repeatedly. Let go of the need to respond to every word. Let go of the urge to correct every misunderstanding. Let go of the desire to be seen, praised, or justified. Each time you let go, the mind grows stronger. Each time you refuse to be pulled into unnecessary conflict, you reclaim energy that would have been wasted. Detachment does not mean you withdraw from life. It means you engage on your terms. You choose when to speak and when to remain silent. You choose when to act and when to observe. You no longer move according to provocation. You move according to purpose. This is why the detached mind appears calm even in chaos. It is not confused by noise, it listens for what matters. People will test you, they will provoke, challenge, and attempt to draw reactions from you. This is inevitable. But when they realize their efforts have no effect, they lose interest. There is nothing more frustrating to a restless mind than one that cannot be disturbed. Detachment disarms aggression without confrontation. It ends battles before they begin. Understand this well? Peace is not found by controlling the world. It is found by releasing the need to control how the world behaves toward you. Once you accept that others will act according to their nature, you stop fighting reality. And when you stop fighting reality, the mind settles into stillness. This stillness is not weakness, it is readiness. From stillness, action becomes clean. When you finally move, you do so without hesitation or regret. Your words carry weight because they are not soaked in emotion. Your actions are decisive because they are not delayed by internal conflict. I have lived in solitude and among crowds. I have faced hostility and indifference. In all of it, detachment remained my armor. It did not block the world, it filtered it. Only what was useful entered the mind. The rest passed through without leaving a mark. If you wish to be unbothered, begin here. Release expectation. Loosen attachment. Stop negotiating your peace with people who cannot give it to you. When nothing outside determines your inner state, you become untouchable. And remember this, the moment you detach from what you cannot control, you gain mastery over everything that matters. Most conflicts never begin with action. They begin with words, glances, tone, and ego. A careless sentence, a raised eyebrow, a challenge wrapped in humor. This is how battles are invited. Most men feel compelled to answer every invitation. They believe silence is weakness, that response is required, that to be quiet is to lose. This belief keeps them trapped in endless conflict. I learned that silence, when chosen deliberately, is not submission, it is dominance. When someone provokes you, they are seeking movement in your mind. They want to shift your state, disturb your balance, pull you into their rhythm. The moment you respond emotionally, they succeed. Even if your words are clever, even if your voice is strong, you have already moved on their command. Silence denies them this power. Observation removes their leverage. I learned to watch before acting, to listen without immediately responding, to let people reveal themselves fully before I decide whether they deserve any of my energy. Most speak too quickly. They expose their intentions, their insecurities, their weaknesses through words they cannot restrain. The one who listens gains knowledge. The one who reacts loses it. Silence unsettles those who rely on provocation. They expect resistance. They expect explanation. They expect defense. When none comes, their strategy collapses. They grow louder, more careless, more exposed. In their effort to pull you in, they show their hand, and you remain untouched, watching clearly. Observation sharpens judgment. When emotion is removed from the moment, you begin to see patterns instead of insults. You notice who seeks attention, who seeks control, who seeks validation. You learn which conflicts are meaningless and which require action. Most battles are noise. The disciplined mind ignores noise. People often say, if I don't respond, they will think they won. This is the thinking of someone still enslaved by ego. Victory does not belong to the loudest voice. It belongs to the one who remains composed. The one who walks away with clarity has already won, even if no one applauds. There is great strength in letting others speak themselves into exhaustion. Words fueled by emotion burn quickly. Silence endures. When you observe without interruption, you allow the situation to reveal its true weight. Many conflicts dissolve simply because one side refuses to escalate them. I did not avoid confrontation out of fear. I avoided unnecessary confrontation out of discipline. There is a difference. When action was required, I acted decisively, but I did not waste energy responding to every provocation. Energy is precious. Attention is valuable. Not everyone deserves either. Silence also protects timing. A response given too early is often the wrong one. By waiting, by observing, you allow the moment to mature. You see where words lead, where intentions settle. When you finally speak or act, it carries authority because it is measured, not impulsive. Most regret comes from words spoken too quickly. Very little regret comes from silence. This alone should teach you where strength lies. A calm mind chooses carefully. It does not rush to prove itself. Observation without reaction trains the mind to stay centered under pressure. Each time you resist the urge to respond, you strengthen control. Each time you let provocation pass, you reinforce calm. Over time, this becomes natural. You are no longer pulled by others. You move only when you choose. Understand this: not every challenge is meant to be answered. Some are meant to be ignored. Some are tests to see if you can remain unshaken. When you pass these tests, the world changes how it approaches you. People become careful with their words. They sense your stability. They recognize that you cannot be easily moved. Silence is not emptiness, it is presence. It is awareness. It is the space where strategy forms. The one who observes controls the direction of events without appearing to do so. This is quiet power. If you wish to remain unbothered, practice this daily. Let words pass. Let gestures fade. Watch without judgment. Act only when purpose demands it. Over time, you will find that fewer people attempt to provoke you and fewer situations disturb your peace. And remember this: the one who masters silence and observation controls every situation without raising his voice. There are battles everywhere for those who are looking for them. A word spoken without care, a glance held too long, an opinion that differs from your own — these are the sparks that ignite endless conflict in the lives of most men. They move from irritation to irritation, exhausted yet convinced they are strong because they are always engaged. I learned early that this is not strength, this is waste. A disciplined mind does not fight every battle it is offered, it chooses. Discipline teaches you what deserves your attention and what does not. Without discipline, the mind is like an open field. Anyone can walk through it, trample it, leave marks behind. With discipline, the mind becomes guarded territory. Entry is not granted freely. Only what matters is allowed inside. Everything else is left at the gate. Most people are tired not because life is hard, but because they fight too many meaningless battles. They argue to protect pride. They react to defend image. They respond to prove importance. Each reaction feels justified in the moment, yet over time it drains clarity, patience, and peace. Discipline reveals a simple truth: not every challenge is worthy of response, and not every conflict is worth your strength. When the mind is trained, it recognizes triviality instantly. It senses when something is noise rather than threat, distraction rather than danger. A careless comment does not require defense. A foolish opinion does not require correction. An attempt to provoke does not require engagement. Discipline creates distance between stimulus and response, and in that distance lies freedom. I did not become unbothered by chance. I became unbothered by repetition. Each day I practiced restraint. Each day I chose not to react when reaction offered no advantage. Each day I asked myself a simple question: does this deserve my energy? Most of the time the answer was no, and with each refusal my control strengthened. Discipline is the ability to say no to others, to impulses, to unnecessary engagement. It is easy to fight. It is hard to ignore. It is easy to speak. It is hard to remain silent. But the hard path is the one that builds mastery. Over time, the mind learns that peace is not found by winning arguments but by avoiding battles that never needed to exist. There is a great difference between strength and restlessness. The restless mind must always be active. It needs friction to feel alive. The disciplined mind is still until movement is required. It does not seek conflict to affirm itself. It waits, watches, and conserves power. When action is finally necessary, it is decisive and effective because energy has not been wasted elsewhere. Many believe that ignoring trivial battles makes you small. In truth, it makes you large. When you stop reacting to everything, your presence becomes heavier, your words become rarer and therefore stronger. People begin to sense that you are not easily moved. They adjust, they hesitate, they think twice before pulling you into unnecessary conflict. Discipline also protects purpose. Every person has limited time and strength. If you spend them on petty disputes, you have nothing left for what truly matters. The disciplined mind guards its purpose fiercely. It does not allow minor disturbances to derail major goals. It understands that focus is fragile and must be defended. I watched many talented men lose their way because they could not ignore small battles. A single insult consumed their attention. A minor slight altered their direction. Their days were spent reacting instead of building. Discipline would have saved them, but discipline must be chosen daily. It is not dramatic, it is quiet. It is refusing what feels urgent but is meaningless. Ignoring trivial battles does not mean tolerating weakness or injustice. It means understanding scale. Some things require response, most do not. Discipline teaches discernment. It sharpens judgment. It shows you where action will produce results and where it will only produce noise. Each time you choose not to engage, you reclaim energy. Each time you walk away, you preserve clarity. Each time you let something pass, you strengthen your command over yourself. Over time, the mind becomes calm not because nothing happens, but because nothing unnecessary is allowed to stay. This is how the unbothered state is built, not through isolation from the world but through discipline within it. You move through chaos untouched because you have trained yourself not to kneel before every disturbance. You are selective, you are deliberate, you are free. And remember this: the one who saves his strength by ignoring trivial battles always has power when the real fight arrives.